I said no to babysitting my brother's kids. Then they showed up alone with a note and a police case. Hi, I'm Charles, 28, and 3 days ago I found out exactly how much my brother respects the word no, which is to say, not at all, when a taxi pulled up to my apartment and unloaded 3 confused children, 2 backpacks, 1 diaper bag, and a driver who looked at me like, "Sir, please tell me this is your circus." It all started that morning when my brother, Adam, called me with the parental version of a hostage negotiation voice. "Chuck, buddy, listen, I need a huge favor. Just a few hours. Can you watch the kids?" Now, context: I love my nieces and nephew. They're cute, sticky, loud, and believe I'm some sort of wizard because I once opened a Capri Sun without spraying it across the room. I love them, but I also cherish the quiet, child-free order of my little one-bedroom apartment. Also, I was working from home that day. A day filled with Zoom meetings. Meetings involving clients. Clients who pay my rent. Clients who do not, under any circumstance, enjoy background shrieking. So I said kindly but firmly, "No, Adam. I can't today." He sighed like I'd personally slammed a door on the future of his family line. "Come on, man. I'm desperate." "Still no." He huffed, muttered something about how family used to mean something, and hung up. I thought that was the end of it. I was wrong. Fast forward 3 hours. I'm making coffee before my next meeting when my buzzer goes off. I pick up the intercom and a strange voice says, "Taxi for Charles? Got kids here?" Kids. Plural. I open the front door just in time to watch 3 tiny humans tumble out of the back seat while the driver unloads bags like he's relocating refugees from a war zone. My nephew, the smallest one, waddles toward me holding a juice box upside down. My oldest niece looks up and says, "Daddy said you'd take care of us today because you were being dramatic." Dramatic. I was still trying to process this when the driver shoved a slip into my hand. "Already paid. Good luck." Then he sped off like the place was cursed. I stood there, 3 small faces staring at me, juice leaking between fingers, backpacks unzipped, 1 sock already missing from someone, and a single, horrifying thought hit me. If Adam sent them in a taxi, who was actually supposed to be watching them? I herded the kids inside, calling Adam's phone over and over. Straight to voicemail. That's when my middle niece tugged my sleeve and said, "Uncle Charles? Daddy told the driver to drop us off quick cause he was gonna miss his flight." His flight. My brother had actually dumped his kids on me and gone to the airport. And that wasn't even the worst part. Because when I checked the diaper bag, I found a note hand-scribbled, rushed, and absolutely unhinged that started with, "Don't panic, but..." That's where everything really exploded. Don't panic, but... That's how every disaster movie starts. That's how every bad parental decision begins. That's how my brother once explained why his kitchen was on fire in college. I braced myself and kept reading. I had to catch this flight or I was going to lose the job. I figured you'd understand. Just watch them for the weekend. Only the weekend. We'll talk when I'm back. Thanks, bro. You're the best. Weekend. Not hours. Not an afternoon. A whole weekend. Plural days. With 3 kids. Who were now staring at me like I was the cruise director of this sinking ship. And worse, the note had been shoved inside a half-empty diaper bag. No extra diapers. No snacks. No schedule. No instructions. Just vibes and chaos. My oldest niece, Mia, plopped herself on my couch like she just checked into a hotel. "Daddy said you'd be fun? Do you have slime?" No. What I had was a 2 p.m. Zoom meeting and a rising desire to throttle my brother. But I couldn't be mad at them. They were kids. This wasn't their fault. This was 100% Adam's signature move: make a mess, pretend it's a family bonding opportunity, then evaporate into thin air. I sat them all down and attempted to form some sort of plan. Instead, the toddler climbed onto my lap and spilled milk down my shirt. The middle one started crying because the toddler spilled milk down my shirt. And Mia announced she was bored. It wasn't even noon. I grabbed my phone again. Called. Texted. Called. Nothing. I tried calling his wife, who, fun fact, was in a yoga retreat with limited cell service. She sent an automated text, "Namaste. I'm unplugged for the next 72 hours. Of course she was. I took a deep breath, put on my nicest customer service voice, and dialed Adam's work. Maybe he was lying about the job. Maybe I could catch him before takeoff. Maybe someone knew what was going on. The receptionist answered. This is Jenna. Hi, I'm looking for Adam. Is he? Oh, she interrupted, and her tone immediately changed from corporate polite to oh dear. Adam doesn't work here anymore. I blinked. What? He actually quit this morning. Quit. This morning. Quit his job. Disappeared to an airport. Dumped his kids on me. Lied to my face. And now his number was going straight to voicemail like he'd hurled his phone into the ocean. I thanked Jenna, hung up, and stared at nothing for a solid 10 seconds. Then my toddler nephew tugged on my pant leg and said, Uncle Charles. I'm hungry. Of course he was. I made them PB&J sandwiches because that was literally the only thing I had enough of for 3 children. While they ate, I stood there trying to figure out why Adam would blow up his life and drag me down with it. Then Mia said something that dropped my stomach to the floor. Daddy said we're going to a new house. A big one. But we weren't allowed to know where yet. A new house. A mystery location. A vanishing act. And suddenly the note's rushed handwriting made a lot more sense. Adam wasn't just avoiding responsibility. He was running from something. And the horrible part? It sounded like I was now part of the cover story. I crouched down in front of Mia. Sweetheart, what do you mean, a new house? She shrugged, swinging her feet. Daddy said we couldn't tell Mommy because it was a surprise. And we couldn't tell you because you'd freak out. And we definitely couldn't tell Grandma because she'd ruin everything. Excellent. Multiple red flags. A full parade of them. With a marching band. I asked, when did he say this? Last night. He was packing. She shoved another bite of PB&J in her mouth. He said it was a big adventure, and we'd all go together. But then this morning he said plans changed and we were coming to you first. My gut twisted hard. He wasn't just running. He was hiding. And he was dragging these kids along with him, except he'd abandoned them at my front door like FedEx overnight delivery. I stepped into the hallway, calling Adam again. Voicemail. I texted. Call me. Now. Not kidding. Where are you? Are you at the airport? Are the kids safe? What the hell is going on? Nothing. Meanwhile inside, chaos brewed like a storm cell. The toddler had discovered the button panel on my dishwasher. The middle child had discovered the forbidden joy of jumping on my bed. And Mia was asking if I had Wi-Fi so she could watch videos because that's definitely what we all need right now. I took a breath. A long one. The kind therapists recommend. It did absolutely nothing. Then my phone rang. Not Adam. An unknown number. I answered immediately. Adam? A man's voice. Is this Charles Bennett? Yes? This is Officer Ramirez with the airport police. My heart plummeted. Is my brother okay? Did something happen? Are the kids? Your brother is not here, he said. But your number is listed as an emergency contact in a missing person inquiry filed 20 minutes ago. Missing? I repeated, dizzy. Missing who? There was a rustle of papers. 3 minors. Last seen with their father at approximately 9:10 a.m. Witnesses report he entered the airport, exited through a side door, and fled the premises, leaving the children in the back seat of a taxi. I pressed my hand to the wall. Officer, the kids are here. He sent them to my apartment. That's good news, Ramirez said calmly. But we need to speak with you immediately about your brother's whereabouts and his recent behavior. I swallowed. I don't know where he is. He told me he had a flight. That was a lie. We have reason to believe, the officer continued, that your brother may be attempting to evade a legal situation. Ice crawled along my spine. What kind of situation? We'll explain when we arrive. We're sending a unit to your address to verify the children's safety and take your statement. I glanced into my apartment, the toddler pressing random buttons, the middle child wrapped in my blanket like a cape, Mia sipping juice like this was a spa retreat. My quiet Saturday was officially dead. Officer, I said, you should know something. My brother didn't just dump the kids. He left a note about running to a new house. I think he's disappearing. A pause. Then Ramirez said, do not leave your residence. Do not attempt to contact your brother further. Officers are on their way. And just like that, the line went dead. I slid my phone into my pocket, leaned against the wall, and whispered, Oh, Adam, what the hell have you done? Except instead of medical results, I was expecting police officers and possibly the revelation that my brother had done something catastrophically stupid. Inside, the kids were completely unfazed. The toddler had discovered my set of measuring spoons and was treating them like symbols. My middle niece was putting stickers on my cat, who looked both betrayed and resigned. And Mia, sweet, observant Mia, studied me with the seriousness of a tiny lawyer building a case. "Uncle Charles," she said slowly, "are we in trouble?" I froze. Because the truth hit hard. I didn't want them scared. They didn't deserve that. This wasn't their chaos. This was Adam's hurricane, and they were just caught in the wind. I kneeled in front of her. "No. You're not in trouble. You're safe here. I promise." She nodded and went back to her juice box, but her eyes lingered on me like she still wasn't convinced. I checked the window every 30 seconds until finally 2 police cruisers pulled up to the curb. I opened the door before they even knocked. Officer Ramirez was tall, calm, and had the kind of serious expression that told me he'd seen enough disasters to categorize this as a mid-tier one, not the worst, but definitely not good. "Mr. Bennett?" he asked. "That's me. The kids are inside." He stepped in, scanning the apartment. "We received a report that 3 minors were abandoned at the airport by their father." "Technically," I said, "they were abandoned at the taxi stand and delivered to my doorstep. Like, extremely problematic DoorDash." He didn't laugh. "Figures." He motioned to his partner, who gently began talking to the kids, checking on them, offering stickers. The toddler was thrilled. Stickers beat measuring spoons any day. Ramirez pulled out his notebook. "We need to ask some questions. Do you have any idea where your brother might be?" "None," I said. "His phone's off. He quit his job this morning. He told the kids he was taking them to a new house. He left me a note saying he had to catch a flight, or he'd lose his job, which was a lie. Then he just disappeared." Ramirez jotted that down. "Do you know if your brother was facing any financial issues?" I laughed, but not because it was funny. He's always facing financial issues. It's his default setting. "Any legal trouble?" That stopped me. Legal trouble. I thought back: late bills, loan collectors, arguments with his wife, dodgy side gigs, that time he tried selling refurbished laptops that definitely fell off a truck. "Officer," I said carefully, "I wouldn't put anything past him. But he didn't tell me anything." Ramirez nodded like this confirmed a theory he already had. "We've been informed," he said, lowering his voice, "that your brother may be connected to a fraud investigation involving his previous employer." Fraud. My brother. The man who once asked me how to spell receipt. Wait, fraud? Like criminal fraud? Potentially. Enough that he may have panicked. I rubbed my temples. My brain felt like it was overheating. So he ditched his kids? And ran? Unfortunately, some individuals panic under pressure and make reckless decisions. He closed his notebook. "The important thing is, the children are safe." I looked over. The toddler was proudly showing an officer a sticker he placed on his own forehead. My middle niece was asking if police cars had bathrooms. Mia was quiet, clutching the edge of the couch cushion. Then Ramirez said, "Mr. Bennett, until we locate your brother, the children cannot be returned to either parent." I blinked. "Meaning, what? They stay here?" "For now," he said. "They stay with you." My stomach dropped. "Temporarily, you are their responsible adult." I looked at the 3 kids. The 3 kids looked at me. And just like that, my weekend turned into emergency guardianship. And Adam's mystery disappearance was no longer just a family problem. It was a legal storm heading straight for me. Officer Ramirez must have seen the panic rising behind my eyes because he put a hand on my shoulder like a doctor about to deliver bad news gently. "This is temporary," he said. "We just need to ensure the kids are safe while we locate your brother." Temporary. Sure. So is volcanic ash. Because the moment the police left, reality hit me like a freight train. I was now the chef, the referee, the emotional support animal, the babysitter, the uncle who suddenly had to Google how much milk is too much milk for a toddler before they explode. The kids were staring at me, waiting for instructions, or snacks, or both. I took a breath. "All right," I said, clapping my hands. "We're going to, have a calm afternoon." 10 seconds later, the toddler began screaming because he wanted the blue cup, not the red one. My middle niece informed me she was allergic to boredom. Mia sat silently, watching me with a face that said you're doing your best, Uncle Charles, but your best is concerning. I tried calling Adam again. Straight to voicemail. I tried texting him. No response. Then I tried calling his wife. Emotional clarity through breath work. Still had her phone on silent. So I did what any adult trapped in a crisis with children would do. I stuck on a movie, opened my laptop, and tried to get through my rescheduled work meeting on mute. The toddler climbed onto my back mid-zoom. My middle niece spilled pretzels on the carpet. And Mia, bless her, sat next to me like a tiny bodyguard whispering, "It's okay, Uncle Charles. People at your job probably have kids too." Then, halfway through the meeting, my phone buzzed. Unknown number. I excused myself, fled to the hallway, and answered. "Hello?" A woman's voice snapped back, sharp, panicked, furious, and somehow exhausted all at once. "Where are my children?" It was Adam's wife. "Claire?" I breathed. "You're not at yoga?" "Oh, I left," she said. The retreat made us turn in our phones at check-in. When I picked mine up, I had 37 missed calls from the police. I leaned against the wall. "The kids are safe. They're here with me." "Why?" she demanded. So I told her. All of it. The taxi. The note. The cops. The fraud investigation. The disappearance. By the time I finished, she exhaled the way someone does when they're trying not to scream into the wind. "I knew he was hiding something," she said quietly. "But he promised. He said he was sorting things out." My voice softened. "Claire, what's he running from?" Silence. Then, "He drained our savings." My blood went cold. "What?" "All of it," she said shakily. "Every account. And last night he told me to pack because we'd be starting new. I thought he meant a vacation or a move for work, not this." I shut my eyes. Of course. Of course my brother didn't just panic. He stole their money. Quit his job. Dumped the kids. And vanished. "Claire," I said, "the police are looking for him. They might want to speak with you." "I know," she whispered. "I'm driving to your place now." I hesitated. "They told me the kids have to stay with me for now. Legally." "That's fine," she said. "Just keep them safe. Please." Then she hung up. I stared at the wall, heart hammering, brain screaming. My brother hadn't just screwed up. He detonated his entire life. And now the fallout was landing on me, Claire, and 3 kids who deserved far better than the mess he dragged them into. A knock sounded at my door. Soft. Hesitant. "Uncle Charles?" Mia called. "Someone's here." I opened it to find Claire, eyes red, hands shaking, and a look that told me the next 24 hours were going to be nothing short of a storm. I had never seen her without the serene yoga mom. I drink herbal tea and don't yell expression. This version of her? Ragged. Broken. Furious. And terrified. She stepped inside and immediately dropped to her knees as the kids ran to her. She wrapped all 3 of them in her arms like she needed to physically touch them to believe they were real. "Oh, thank God," she whispered into their hair. "Oh my God, oh my sweet babies." The toddler patted her cheek. "Mommy sad?" She laughed and cried at the same time. Mommy's fine. Everything's fine." It was not fine. Not remotely. Once the kids were distracted with snacks, she pulled me aside into the kitchen. Her hands were shaking so badly she had to grip the counter. "Charles," she said, "I need you to tell me everything. Every detail." So I did. Again. The taxi. The note. The police. The fraud investigation. The drained accounts. The non-existent flight. Her face went through every stage of grief and wrath simultaneously. When I finished, she pressed her palms to her eyes. "You want the truth? I think Adam's been lying for months. Maybe longer." I swallowed. "About what?" She dropped her hands and my eyes really met them, and what she said next made my stomach twist. "He told me he was investing our savings into a sure thing. Some business that would change our lives. I thought it was another one of his dumb side projects. But last week, he told me someone threatened him." "Threatened him?" "Yes. He said he owed money to the wrong person. A lot of money." I didn't believe him at first. I thought he was exaggerating like always. I leaned forward. "How much money?" She swallowed. "Everything we had. And possibly more." Jesus. So, what, he ran? I asked quietly. From debt collectors? From the law? She nodded weakly. He told me last night he had a plan. That we'd leave before things got bad. I thought he meant moving to his parents' house or something. Her voice cracked. Not this. Not disappearing. Not abandoning his own children. I felt sick. But there was something else she hadn't said. Something hovering behind her eyes. Claire, I said gently. Is there more? She exhaled a shaky breath. He asked me if I had a passport ready for the kids. What? Why? He said we might need to get out fast. Her voice trembled. I thought he was being dramatic. I thought he was stressed. I never imagined. She covered her mouth. He hadn't just planned to vanish. He planned to flee the country with the kids. That's why he packed. That's why Mia mentioned a new house. That's why he'd panicked and dumped them. He must have realized he couldn't get them through TSA or customs without raising alarms. And so he chose the next best thing. Disappear alone. I felt a cold rush down my spine. He was going to take them, I whispered. And run. Claire nodded. I think so. We both stood there in awful silence, absorbing what that meant. Then the front door buzzed again. Claire stiffened. Is it the police? I checked the door monitor. It wasn't the cops. It wasn't a neighbor. It wasn't even a delivery. It was a man I didn't recognize, mid-40s, shaved head, wearing a leather jacket, standing with his arms crossed and looking directly into the camera. When he saw I was watching, he leaned forward slightly and smiled. Not kindly. More like he recognized me. And that's when my phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. Tell Adam I'm done waiting. Claire's face strained of color. Charles, she whispered. That's one of the men he owed money to. And suddenly, the missing puzzle piece clicked into place. Adam wasn't just running from the police. He was running from people who were now standing outside my building. And they thought he was here. Highly recommend avoiding the experience. It ages you about 5 years instantly. I stepped back from the door monitor so fast I nearly tripped over the toddler, who had wandered over holding a Cheerio like it was evidence in a criminal trial. Claire's hand clamped onto my arm. Charles, that's him. That's the man Adam said might show up if things got messy. Messy. That was one word for it. Nuclear would have been better. I swallowed hard. Does he know your address? No, she whispered, voice trembling. Adam told him we were staying with family. Not which family. Great. So now I was the mystery family. The worst mystery prize ever. The buzzer went off again, longer this time. Impatient. Then my phone buzzed. Another unknown number. Open the door. We need to talk. We. Plural. I checked the camera again. There were now 2 men. Leather jacket guy. And his friend, a brick-shaped man with a scar down his face like he'd been drawn by a comic book villain illustrator on a deadline. Claire backed up toward the kids. Charles, what do we do? What do we do? I forced myself to breathe. Think. Stay calm. I had 3 kids in my living room. 1 terrified mother. 2 very unfriendly debt collectors at my front door. I wasn't a fighter. I wasn't a hero. I was a guy who alphabetized his spice rack. But I also wasn't about to let the mafia-lite duo into my home. I grabbed my phone and called Officer Ramirez. He answered on the first ring. Mr. Bennett? Officer. I hissed, keeping my voice low. The men my brother owes money to? They're outside my building. He didn't pause. Are they inside the building? No. But they're buzzing the door. Do not engage with them. Ramirez ordered. Lock the door. Move everyone away from the windows. Units are en route. My palms were sweating. How fast is en route? Fast. He hung up. The buzzer went off again, harder, impatient, angry. I stepped in front of the door, blocking the kids' view, and pressed the intercom button. Adam isn't here. I said, voice steady but shaking inside. Leather jacket guy leaned closer to the camera. Then you're going to tell us where he is. No, I said. I don't know where he is. He smirked. Cute. But your brother owes money. A lot. And someone in that apartment knows something. My heart pounded so loudly I wondered if they could hear it through the door. Leave, I said. The police are already on their way. A beat of silence. Then brick-shaped guy said, We'll be back. Next time, We won't knock. They turned and walked off. I let out a shaky breath as Claire rushed forward and locked the door again, then added the chain, the deadbolt, and for reasons that made sense in panic, slid a chair under the handle like we were fortifying against zombies. I grabbed my knees and bent forward, trying not to pass out. "This is insane," Claire whispered. "I can't believe Adam dragged us into this." Dragged us? More like he tied us off a cliff. 2 minutes later, sirens. 4 minutes, flashing lights. 6 minutes, police officers at my door, telling us the men were gone. Temporarily. Claire took the kids into the bedroom while I spoke with the officers. Ramirez looked grim. "Mr. Bennett, this is no longer just about missing persons. Your brother's involved with very dangerous individuals." I nodded. My voice came out small. "What do we do now?" "We're issuing a protective watch for the residents," he said. "We'll have a patrol car stationed nearby. But you cannot leave with the children until we locate your brother or until the court decides the next move." Fantastic. We were now hostages in my own apartment. When the officers finally left, the adrenaline drained out of me so fast I had to sit down. The kids were huddled on my bed with Claire, who was crying silently into her hands. And then Mia saw me, climbed off the bed, and walked over with the cautious confidence of someone twice her age. "Uncle Charles?" she whispered. "Yeah, sweetheart?" She looked up at me, eyes big and scared. "Are we staying here forever?" God help me, my throat tightened. I knelt and took her hands. "No. Not forever. Just until things get sorted out." She nodded slowly. "Okay. But, Uncle Charles?" "Yeah?" She squeezed my hands hard. "Daddy's in trouble, isn't he?" I swallowed. I didn't lie. "Yes," I whispered. "He is." She nodded again, like she already knew. Then she surprised me. She leaned forward and hugged me, small, quiet, shaking. And that was the moment I realized something. I wasn't just babysitting anymore. I was the only stable adult these kids had left. And Adam's disappearance? This wasn't the end of the mess. This was the beginning. The police car parked outside my building idled like some kind of anxious metal guard dog, and I'd gotten a grand total of 40 minutes of sleep, none of which were consecutive. The kids slept in my bed. Claire slept on my couch. I slept on the floor between them like a badly paid security guard. At 6:12 a.m., the toddler woke up by stepping directly onto my chest and announcing, "I want pancakes." Nothing reminds you you're alive like a toddler healed to the sternum. I made pancakes. Badly. Claire helped, still bleary-eyed, still shaking occasionally like her nervous system hadn't caught up with the night we'd had. We fed the kids. We turned on cartoons. We tried to exist like things were normal. We failed spectacularly. Around 8 a.m., there was a knock at the door, gentle, familiar. I checked the monitor. Officer Ramirez. I exhaled in relief and let him in. He stepped inside with that same calm, controlled presence, but this time, his expression carried a new weight. "Mr. Bennett," he said. "Claire. We have developments." Claire straightened so fast she nearly spilled her coffee. "Did you find him?" Ramirez hesitated. "Not yet. But we found his car." My stomach dropped. "Where?" "Abandoned," he said. "Behind a strip mall 3 towns over. Door unlocked. Keys missing." I felt Claire sway beside me. Ramirez steadied her gently. "That doesn't mean anything happened to him," he added. "He may have left the car intentionally. Or someone else did," Claire whispered. Ramirez didn't deny it. Before panic could swallow her whole, he continued. "But we also searched the vehicle. We found something important." He handed me a clear evidence bag with a folded sheet of paper inside. A printed airline confirmation. 1 adult. One-way ticket. Destination, Belize. Departure date, yesterday morning. But the ticket wasn't assigned to Adam. It was printed under a fake name, but the date of birth matched his. I whispered. He really planned to run. "Likely," Ramirez said. "But look at the timestamp. The check-in wasn't completed. The ticket was never used." I felt that like a punch. He tried to flee. He couldn't. Or someone stopped him. "Officer," I said quietly. "Is he in danger?" Ramirez's jaw tightened. "We're treating this as both a missing person case and a criminal matter. We're coordinating with multiple departments." Translation. "Yes. Possibly very much," he continued. Until your brother is located, the safest place for you and the children is here, with police supervision. Do not open your door unless it's us. I nodded numbly. After Ramirez left, Claire sank onto the couch, burying her face in her hands. I can't believe this, she said. He wasn't supposed to be this person. He was supposed to be stupid and irresponsible, not this. I sat down beside her. Hey, none of this is your fault. She laughed bitterly. I married him. I trusted him. I let him near our savings. That feels like fault. No, I said firmly. That feels like betrayal on his part. Not fault on yours. She looked at me, eyes glassy, exhausted. You've been amazing, she whispered. I don't know what I would have done without you. I didn't know what to do with that. Compliments always felt like someone handing me a fragile object I wasn't sure how to hold. I'm just doing what anyone would do. No, she said. You're doing what Adam should have done. Oof. That one hit deep. We sat there in silence until the kids came barreling over wanting attention and snacks and reassurance we didn't yet have the vocabulary to give. By noon, the apartment felt like a pressure cooker. Claire paced the kitchen. The kids drew pictures on printer paper. I sat at the table staring at the police ticket like it could explain something to me if I stared long enough. Then Mia slid into the chair beside me. She placed a drawing on the table. A messy crayon picture of 4 stick-figure kids, 1 stick-figure woman, and 1 stick-figure man holding hands. Is this your family? I asked gently. She nodded. That's Mommy. That's us. She pointed at the stick-figure man at the end. That's Daddy. My throat tightened. And who's this? I asked, pointing at the taller stick figure beside her. You, she said simply. Me. But why am I? Daddy's gone, she said, with the blunt honesty only children have. So you're the grown-up now. I stared at the picture as the meaning settled on me like a weight with shape and purpose. I wasn't just babysitting. I wasn't simply filling a gap. I was the adult these kids were now anchoring themselves to. I folded the picture carefully. Thanks, kiddo. She leaned her head against my arm. Will Daddy come back? I looked at her little face. The worry there. The hope. And I did something I almost never do. I told the truth gently. I don't know, I said. But no matter what happens, you're staying safe. And you're not alone. She nodded and slid off the chair, wandering back to Claire. I stared at the picture again. And then my phone buzzed. A number I didn't recognize. But the message? That I recognized immediately. We found him. And below that. You need to come in. This wasn't over. Not even close. I called the number immediately. Ramirez answered with a tone that told me this was not a victory lap. Is he alive? I asked. A pause. Yes, he said. But you need to hear the rest in person. I threw on shoes, grabbed my jacket, told Claire I had to meet the police. Her face went white, but she nodded. Go. Just come back. At the station, Ramirez met me with a stack of paperwork and eyes that looked 10 years older than yesterday. Your brother was found outside a motel near the state line, he said. Disoriented. Injured. Not from a fight, dehydrated, exhausted. But he wasn't alone. My pulse hammered. Who was he with? Ramirez exhaled. He had someone with him. Someone he was trying to hide. I gripped the chair. Who? A woman, he said. And she told us everything. The fraud. The debt. The escape plan. The plan that included taking the kids out of the country. My chest clenched hard. He said he didn't want to burden the kids with the fallout. But the truth? He was running from them too. I felt my throat close. So what happens now? He's in custody, Ramirez said. And Charles, the kids? You're still the safest place for them. I leaned back, dizzy. Somehow, without asking for it, I'd become the only solid thing left standing. And for the kids' sake, I'd stay standing. And walking out of that station felt like leaving a storm shelter after the tornado has already ripped the roof off. You're safe for the moment, but nothing is where you left it. I got back to my apartment to find all 3 kids glued to Claire, like little satellites afraid to drift. When she saw my face, she stood slowly, bracing herself. Well? She whispered. I knelt so the kids wouldn't see the worst of it. They found him, I said. He's alive. He's not okay. He's in custody. Claire let out a shaky breath, some mix of grief, anger, and relief so tangled together no human could separate it. She covered her mouth, nodded, then sank onto the arm of the couch. Mia stepped forward. "Uncle Charles? Is Daddy coming home?" I looked at her small, hopeful face and felt something settle inside me, not heavy, not crushing, just true. "Not for a while," I said gently. "But you're going to be safe. And you're staying with us until everything is sorted out. That's a promise." She nodded slowly, then took my hand like she was anchoring herself to the words. The next day's blurred paperwork, interviews, child services visits, officers checking in, lawyers calling Claire. But through all of it, the kids stayed close, calmer now, as if the uncertainty before had been the real threat. One night, after they fell asleep in a pile on my bed again, Claire sat beside me at the kitchen table, rubbing her eyes. "You saved them," she said quietly. I shook my head. "No. I just opened the door. That's what saving them looked like," she murmured. And maybe she was right. I didn't go looking for this job. I didn't ask to be the emergency adult in my brother's collapse. But somehow, through all the chaos, one thing became painfully, powerfully clear. Family isn't the people who drag you into darkness. Family is the one who turns on a light. And right now, for these kids, for Claire, I was the light. Not forever. Not as a replacement. Just until things stopped breaking. But as I watched those three small, sleeping bodies breathe in perfect unison, one quiet thought found me and settled somewhere deep. Maybe I can do this. Maybe I already am.